Whiskey Talkin. I'm Ryan Robinette, coming at you from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, entrepreneur, and now podcaster.
Good evening. What are we going to call our fans? Good evening,
Whiskey Talkers.
Whiskey Talkers.
There we go.
I'm Caleb, your other host. I still DoorDash occasionally, but I'm sorting photos. I'm doing what I like to do now.
He's semi-employed now.
Yeah, which is crazy because it's been like a week for you guys. So you're like, wow, I don't know what happened. But welcome back with us today. We've got Adam Calvert of Guernsey County fame, obviously, like the rest of us. Mm-hmm. We try to only bring in people from Guernsey County, as you saw last week.
Evidently.
So, Adam, welcome to the show. Give us a little intro, give us a little bio about yourself, who you are, what you do.
So, of course, my name is Adam Calvert. I grew up in southeastern Ohio, Guernsey County. But at the age of 5 years old, I moved to East Tennessee, actually it was the age of 12, I think, years old. I moved to East Tennessee, Gatlinburg in the Smoky Mountains. So Tennessee's always been close to my heart, but of course now I live in Nashville, singer-songwriter, and I work with these two ding-a-lings.
Yep, ding-a-lings.
Something like that, right?
We're actually all from the same county, as Caleb said. So, little county, southeastern Ohio, right along the Ohio River Valley and near the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. So,
people down here, they're like, what part of Ohio? And I just tell them West Virginia.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I'm like, if you're looking at a map, just look at West Virginia and then go left a little.
I think so many people think of Ohio as being flat because the western side of it's incredibly flat, but then like where we're from is super hills. And
literally, yeah. The only part of Ohio that has hills or mountains is southeastern, yeah. The rest of it is just cornfields, basically.
Yeah, that's why I love this area of Tennessee because, we don't have the mountains like East Tennessee does, but we still have decent-sized hills here, just like home.
There's actual landscape and a view.
I love it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's just because, I look at it now, but, the skies down here have been so, beautiful the last, week. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the storms probably.
Pink. It's been pink, like the Zach Bryan song. Great guy.
Shout out Zach
Just kidding.
Next episode.
Yeah, right.
These guys are city slickers now. These guys are city slickers.
We
I
love
live out in Hickman County.
So
they call it Nashville's big backyard, but I get to come into the city to work with these guys.
And you're a little bit like that out where you're at's a little bit like home.
It is. Oh man,
yeah.
So much like
let's
home.
Let's backtrack a little bit. Tell us about. You said you moved to East Tennessee when you were 12ish.
Yeah, Gatlinburg.
What was that for?
So I worked for it was a Country Tonight was the name of the theater. Pigeon Forge and Branson and all those places have such a huge theater industry. But for me, I got to leave Cambridge, Ohio, and 12 years old and start playing music full time.
So the thing that you were doing, kind of similar to cabaret style, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So you're doing traveling road shows, singing as a choir, kind of, right? On stage.
It was like a country Broadway show,
There you go.
Pigeon Forge still has a lot of those.
Yeah.
And it really was where I got my start, I'd say.
What's the Missouri place?
Branson.
It's
like Branson. Yeah.
No, I love Gatlinburg. I've been going there for years, since I was in middle school. People were like, where do you travel? And it was Gatlinburg because our church went there all the time. And so I'd been down there probably 7 years in a row, through high school. And it's just, obviously after the first few years, you've seen all of the kind of the main drag. But getting out and into the mountains and hiking out there, it's just there's some amazing views. And if you've never been there, go check it out, especially if it's your first time. That whole downtown kind of through the strip part there, it's really interesting.
Dude, we'll do one. We'll set up on one of the cabins on the back porch with the view, and we'll do podcasts over there. Maybe a few. Maybe we'll just do a retreat over there.
So when did you come to Nashville?
I would say it was a little over 5 years ago now. I started staying with this guy, crashing on his couch in his spare room. Then I'd stay with my friend John Townsend and a drummer that we've been working with through the years. I stayed with Joe Bonvillain, and really who would ever give us a place to crash so we could be in town to write and record. And finally we were able to find our spot, but it took a while.
Joe who?
Bonvillain.
That's what a cool last name.
For real. All right, I would like to. We'll have to edit crap out of this. We'll edit that out. Backtrack some more. So from
We met further back.
yeah, no, from the Gatlinburg stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were being homeschooled.
Yeah, so I was public schooled in Guernsey County. Well, technically, I guess Muskingum County. I went to John Glenn. You guys went to the. I know. You guys went to the.
We have
That's
good
very,
friends.
that's
We have
very-
good
that's
friends from
barely
there
a
too.
public school.
Yeah.
That's a private
Might
school.
as well
with
be
a
private.
Is that what you guys would consider John Glenn? It's like
Yeah.
more of a private.
It's like mini Muskingum College.
It is. I loved it. But I was there till about 6th grade, and that's when we moved to East Tennessee. And then I tried to go to public schooling in Tennessee. I went to Caton's Chapel, which was
They kicked you out.
yeah, they were like, this guy doesn't belong. It was Dolly Parton's school. It was a school that she went to as a kid, and it's up in the middle of in the hills of Gatlinburg. But working that show while trying to do that was a little bit too tough.
How long did you do that?
Oh, just a few months. Yeah, only a few months.
The traveling show?
No, the going to public school.
Oh
So,
yeah. Well, we're past that. No one cares.
3 years for that traveling show, and like I said, I tried to do public schooling, and I was missing certain classes to go to that traveling show, and of course there were the classes that I loved the most, and then like all the extracurricular
Like gym,
gym, dodgeball, like actually you missed
study hall.
you missed math, so you have to do math during your gym class. I'm like, okay, this ain't gonna work. I'm not going to school.
If
But see,
there's 4
homeschooling was
kickballs-
awesome. I was the top of my class, and
So that took you all the way up to about what age?
Junior year.
You know where I'm getting to here. And what happened junior year?
went back to public schooling, but this time it was a little bit different.
Is that
Zoe
public
101.
school?
It was a public school. It was K through 12,
Really?
kindergarten through 12th grade.
All right, tell us about that school.
So it's called the School for Creative and Performing Arts, and it's one of the only kindergarten through 12th grade art schools in the world. But I think it's one of 3 in this country, and it is public. It's fully public, but you have to be in that county, Hamilton County, to go
Yeah.
there. So I had to move to Cincinnati in the city, which for me, living in Guernsey County was a shock. Not being able to wear jewelry when going to school, and watching your shoulder, looking over your shoulder as you walk to school and that kind of stuff. I wasn't used to that.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a change.
So, and I always give Adam a hard time about this, but I was actually a fan. I remember watching this show. There was a show on MTV called Taking the Stage.
That's it.
And I believe Nick Lachey produced it, created it.
Yeah, it was all about the school, basically. And Nick was kind of bummed out because there was a show similar to it that was filmed in California, and all the kids were, kind of given everything.
Cooler.
Yeah, and Nick was like, I want to show the school in Cincinnati where the kids like walk to school and like they don't have the same privileges as
The Midwest values.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, he went to that school. Carmen Electra went to that school. Sarah Jessica
Midwest
Parker.
values thing.
yeah, Midwest values. But he was quite the producer, and it was neat that he was able to bring that that show to life and really show Cincinnati as a whole as well.
Yeah, I remember I talked to Adam about this when we finally met, actually. But I remember watching that show, and I remember watching Adam on there, and had no idea he was from our area or anything. I just remember watching that show, being like, man, screw those kids. I want to do that, but they're doing that right now.
It reminded me so much of there was a Disney show I used to watch when I was younger called Zoe 101.
Oh.
And it was, I think, Britney Spears' little sister, and she went to this boarding school that was like arts derived.
Yeah, Jesse Lynn. Shout out
That's
Jesse
it. Yeah. And when I was younger, I thought, okay,
Give my number afterwards.
because all of my friends that knew me and stuff when I was homeschooling would be like, do you think you'll ever go back to public school? Will you go back to John Glenn? And I was like, I don't think so. And I was like, the only way I'll go back to public schooling is if it's something to do with music, and hopefully I was there to do something. And honestly, in the back of my mind, I was like, film a TV show would be really cool. Never did I ever think that something like that would actually happen. And it was really neat. It's fun. It's a cool school. I think a lot of people ask about the TV show, and the TV show was an amazing experience to be on TV, to be famous or whatever. It was cool, but to go to that school though was the coolest part. To go see little kids that are first and second grade walking down the classrooms with their violin,
Focusing on music and
So
arts.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That feels like you only see that in movies. Yeah.
It felt like Fame, because they actually had me watch the old movie Fame.
They're like, this is what we want you to be
Yeah, this is
like.
what you're gonna be like. And I was like, okay, I think I can.
You're like, I'm already there. So
Yeah, my school made me watch Rudy, so I don't know.
yeah. I
What
think
your
we
school
just
made
had.
you watch?
I think we just had to watch a
Wait.
bunch of abstinence videos.
Did you guys
from the 80s?
What grade did you guys have to watch the like sex
Well,
videos?
see, I missed all
That's what I mean.
that.
Ah,
I,
think
I learned
we
mine
s-
at home from mom and dad.
I think we started in 6th grade or 7th grade.
I remember ours was 5th grade, and
Dang.
our teacher put the girls one in, and we got like halfway through it. 'Cause he was like, they got to like the period scene, and we didn't know it. Now looking back, I know it, but like back then, you're like, oh, why is she bleeding? You know.
Yeah, question mark
And
is what you're thinking.
you're looking at it, and then he just like, oh, sorry, I put the wrong one in, and then he put the guy one in. But
Wow. Well, see, that's why I went to John Glenn, and you went to the whatever school you went to. Did you go to Cambridge?
no,
You went to Meadowbrook too?
yeah.
Meadowbrook?
Yeah.
bro.
Not anymore. It used to be, but we got like turf now and a new football
They used to, the
complex.
kids at John Glenn, I remember this, and you remember these things when you were little. Like, they said Meadowbrook, and then there was a school called Lincoln. I think it's gone now, right?
They would always chant like Cambridge and all the other start your tractors. They would chant those.
That's so
like, at
funny.
the end of the game instead of scoreboard. Like if we were behind, it would be like start your tractors.
That is so funny. I love it. I like that little rivalry.
Kids are
though.
brutal.
Yeah, looking back, like it's crazy. I mean, it's obvious. It's tamed. You want to say it's tamed, but it hasn't. It's just they can't say like certain things.
Yeah,
now,
I was gonna
but
say they're just in check more because they have
also,
to be
like-
careful what's being recorded and everything else.
I feel like student sections aren't what they used to be either. Like even when we were in school, it was like not as big as it was.
And
like,
no one sets anything on fire anymore.
No,
one, like,
nobody's wearing like
No.
no one's wearing a green like one piece thong.
a gorilla
running
suit
out.
that we brought out.
Yeah, who was that? Was that
That was us.
that Trevor Maurer? Who
We
wore
passed it down.
who wore the thong?
Ooh, don't know.
It was one of the Mowers.
It was after us.
And there's like a
Yeah.
video of it somewhere. I just remember that.
So
But
stupid.
I like obviously my dad was a coach and like my sisters played, so I was like always at the games and like in those student sections. And then when I played in high school, I sat in high school, but like when I was there, like our student sections were just so like boring compared to those. Like I just remember like being at those, you know, and you're like, wow, this is crazy.
See, at least you had all those memories. I had to sneak in because I'd come back, and visit mom and dad and stuff. Like, and I would go to the school
Get away!
games.
You're homeschooled.
I know they would. Well, luckily,
Weirdo.
the kids weren't cruel for once, and they'd be like, "Hey, sure, you can sit in the student section." I was like, "Oh my god, this is real!" And they do like the little roller coaster thing. I'm like, I get to be a part of something. It was pretty fun.
Adam just goes back to elementary for the gym class, the parachute,
Oh, for sure. It's like with me and
duck,
Reach-
duck, goose.
with me and Reach and Teach now. Like I'm in high school. I'm like, I'm back.
Yeah, it was like-
Well, since you brought that up, we can go on to that a little bit.
Yeah.
You just played one of those shows,
Yeah,
right?
just played. It was Allen County High School in Scottsville, Kentucky, which I played their school last year, and it was really neat just to see how they continue to be fans. Because you think
Yeah.
of young people, like they've got so much entertainment,
so
these days,
distracted.
so much to choose from. I thought sometimes I wonder if they look at me as like, I'm only 32, but for them I'm twice their age.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they think I'm, because remember when we had someone come to our school and we're like, these guys are lame,
Yeah.
and NSYNC like came to Cambridge school, I think, or either NSYNC or Backstreet Boys came.
They
to
did.
Cambridge.
I think
Yeah.
it was it Backstreet Boys? I
Yeah.
thought it was New Kids on the Block.
It was one of those things.
famous now boy bands. So I look at that and I'm like, okay, they probably look at me the same way as like, here's this guy coming in to entertain us. But a lot of the students look at me the other way, like, oh, this guy may be big one day. I'm like, and I don't even think they worry so much about like if I'm famous or if I'm gonna be famous. A lot of the younger people are big into music, like
Yeah.
real music, organic music. With the rise of AI and all this kind of stuff, even the younger generations are searching for more real stuff.
Yeah.
And so like they were all like, I expected them to be like, oh, Adam's back with his band from Nashville.
Yeah.
They're like, Adam Silverado. Like, and they had made little like stick signs with a truck on it, with a Silverado on it. Like,
That's cool.
Yeah.
what else could you ask for? But yeah,
That's super
Reach
cool.
and Teach is a really
Yeah.
neat organization.
Tell more about the organization.
Nonprofit based out of Alabama, but last year we played high schools in Oregon, Washington State, Idaho, Ohio. We played Dublin Jerome High School last year, which of course, like bringing that nonprofit to our home state was such a dream, and it's definitely one of the coolest shows I've ever played, but one of the hardest shows I've ever played because students at that age are unforgiving, and it's like, how dead time
Yes,
is on
they are.
stage. If there's any dead time in that show, they're like throwing stuff at you, like, shouting whatever they've been allowed to shout.
Suck it.
Yeah. Throwing their shoe
Just
or whatever.
filling space, man.
And so
That's why you got to fill the space for them.
But at the same time, like, you get to meet students that are a little more disconnected. Like I was I was not the popular kid in school.
I was going to go back to that. That's one thing that even growing up at our time, it was like music isn't really cool for people to do until about puberty. Like, and then even then, it's like really until you're 16, 17 in high school. Like, that's when people are like, oh, that's actually cool.
Yep.
Especially where we came from, it was all sports. And if you weren't an athlete and didn't do sports, then you were kind of an outcast.
Yeah.
I was lucky. I grew up with a lot of people who loved music and went back and forth anyways. But yeah, to that point, again, to have kids show up, remember you, and be a part of a show like that, like, it's pretty cool.
It's really neat. And I think, like, what makes it extremely special is the impact on the students. And, we've noticed, like, there's some kids that, like, they come, that we meet in the classrooms before the show, because we, like, usually walk around a little bit,
That are
Meet the
more
students.
like drawn to it and more interested.
And then there's some that aren't, that, like, you can tell they're the ones that kind of get picked on and things like that. But then they're right front row at the concert, and they're, like, the biggest fan, they're a big star. And I even try to, like, pick those students out. And I'm like, I'll grab them, be like, you're coming up on stage. I'm like, not me. I'm like, yes, you are. And, like, you can see, like, students out there being like, who is that? Which some of the Dublin Jerome was, like, one of the biggest schools I've ever played.
It's a big, yeah.
They didn't even know the student performer. Like,
Where's that?
It's in Dublin. I think it's.
Are they the Irish?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. They are. It is.
Yeah.
There's two schools in Dublin, and it's like the big
Dublin.
one.
They're like
Dublin
the Fighting
Jerome.
Irish or something like that. It's a nice school.
Oh my God! Yeah. But I forget how many they had in their
What
graduation.
what
class.
state are we talking about?
Ohio.
Thank you.
Ohio. Yeah.
Not Dublin, Ireland.
Yeah, I wish, but yeah, it's the students. I mean, being able to perform for people that age, and hopefully make them, fans. But not just that. Like, there's so many aspects of it, but mainly, like, being able to knock these kids off on their trajectory a little bit. And some of them are going down a certain path, and maybe you have a chance. The founder of the program, Cam Fleener, he's the lead singer of the Velcro Pygmies. He told me so many times, and it's rung with me. He's like, even if you just knock them off their trajectory a little tiny bit, where that ends up down the road is this much further off.
Could be, yeah.
The butterfly effect.
It is, yeah.
Changing their life, yeah, for the better, for sure.
It's neat. It's fun, and we always get a student performer up on stage. And this time we had a student performer. His name was Aiden Stone. I mean, already he's got, like, a freaking cool name, like Aiden Stone.
Yep. Sounds like a rock star.
But, like, last year he played Sweet Home Alabama. He plays guitar real well, and he sang. But this year, like, he was doing some like crazy vocal stuff, and it's kind of my job to produce that part of the show, And I told him, I was like, man, I don't say this often to people, but, like, you have, a voice, like, you have, like, a natural gift, that a lot of people don't have. I'm like, now, if you don't go practice and stuff, it's not going to amount to anything. But I'm like, if you go get voice lessons and stuff, like, you have, like, probably a 3-octave range. He's like, yeah, you think I have what it takes? I'm like, I know you do. I'm like, there's people that would kill to have what you have just naturally.
Dude, that is a great point. I think another point with kids that are outcast because they love music or doing music is they're also told, like I was, music is tough. Get a real job. Like, don't focus on that, over and over. And to have someone who's making a living doing it give some encouragement and know that it is possible is incredibly cool and helpful.
That's what I hope. And, I try to, I try not to do too many spiels in there because I know they can smell that. They can sense it,
Right.
But I try to tell them
Kids sense bullshit like crazy.
And I try to be as genuine as possible. And I'm like, hey guys, like, real stuff right now. Like, this is what I do for a living. Like, we all love what we do. All these guys are professional. They play with other artists besides me. And I was like, if we can do what we love to do for a living, then if you want to be an astronaut or a scientist or a doctor or whatever it is you want to do, like, if we can do it and we're all just a bunch of weirdos up here, like, you guys can most likely do it, And so that's what we try to tell them. And it's really neat because, like, you have the kids that will come up to you at meet and greet and be like, I've always wanted to do this, and everyone told me that it would be too tough, but, like, I think now I can do it. And it's just like, you hear that, and it's just like, okay, I think I did do something today. Our music did something.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, no, to not parrot that, to do the opposite of that, you just reminded me, like when I was in 6th grade, something like that, and this is just really stupid, but we were in like life skills. There was some class, I forget what it was called.
Hold on. Home ec.
No,
right?
it wasn't like the cooking one. It was just like
it was home
ec.
ec. We did
It was.
sewing and like we had to like crochet.
It might
like,
have been
or
that.
knit stuff.
I'm not gonna put her on blast, but you know,
yeah.
our teacher for that like was like, I want you guys to like come in. This is 6th grade, like it's not high school. She's like write down like what you want to be when you're older, and so everyone wrote what they wanted to be. And like back then I was like, I want to be like a professional like baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
And then she came up to me like the next day, was like, look, you need to like pick something like realistic. And I was like,
Oh my god!
and I was like, what? Like
Way
I
to kill
cried
somebody's
about
dreams.
yeah, which it's funny like now, but like back then I'm like, man, like
See?
anyway, you tell us you can be whatever you want, and then they're like, okay, relax. Like
Yeah. Real quick shout out to Cole Keith, by the way.
yeah,
That's pretty
yeah,
cool, man.
that was
So you can come from there and play Major League Baseball.
and even like from John Glenn, Colt Emerson. It's weird. There's two Colts. I went to CrossFit with him, so like, he plays for the Mariners now, and they're both like Rookie of the Year, like back.
that was probably about when Colt McCoy was like on top. So
yeah,
there's a whole generation of
Colts.
Colt athletes now.
yeah, but
So
it
you can do it.
no, yeah, 100%.
I bet if you just said videographer, she'd have probably said the same thing. Anything.
Also,
McDonald's or
anything that was not an employee,
Right.
like job.
Yeah, but it was just, I don't know. You remind me of that because you're out there, you're like, do whatever you want, like be the best you can, and then
They go back to class and they're like, forget everything that dude just told you.
yeah.
You guys are probably gonna be working outside most of you.
But yeah, I remembered that. But yeah, shout out like those guys. I mean, even like Josh Sills, he's playing for I don't know who is he still with the Eagles? Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, dude.
He
But-
was last, yeah.
But at some point, it's like, all these guys are like, our schools are really on the map now.
I mean, we had Jared Kubic, who made a lot of noise out in like the Arizona League. He led batting average. I think he was batting like 500 or something. Brock Whiteman played for Muskingum, went to John Glenn. Yeah.
It's like, you don't always have to, be the best in your field.
Aaron
like,
Bates.
as long
Aaron
as
Bates
you
went to
love
John
it.
Glenn.
Really?
And he's at Buckeye Trail.
And
It was the AD at Buckeye
He was a
Trail.
4-year starter at Michigan State, punting for them. Yeah.
He had that big, what was that famous play he had?
The fake, it was a fake field goal.
Yeah, and it like won him the game or
I
something
think
like that.
he was the holder for the field goal, and then he played quarterback. I grew up playing baseball with Aaron, and we were both pitchers, shortstops, and so he played quarterback in high school, and ended up punting in college. But that ended up winning a double overtime, I think, against Michigan, or a huge game that gave them their first 10-win season in 20, 30 years or something. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, you got to follow your dreams no matter what people tell you. And I was lucky enough in John Glenn, like my choir teacher, Mr. Millicent, which I think you saw him when we played for the chamber this last time. He was there, and I still call him Mr. Millicent. He always said,
What's his first name? Greg?
Greg, yeah. He's like, don't quit calling me that. And I'm like, you'll always be Mr. Millicent to me. But he always, tried to tell me, go for it. You know what I mean? That even at that 5th and 6th grade. And now, he, comes to see me when we do hometown shows, and he's like, "I'm so glad that you followed your dream." And so there's the good ones and there's the bad ones.
Okay. Before we move on, I will say that I had a lot of great teachers growing up. A few that really supported pretty much anything. Mr. Welsh, our AP English teacher, allowed me to incorporate music into projects versus writing out papers.
That's cool.
I could write songs that represented those things. I did it for the Scarlet Letter and Love and War. Which was really cool.
See, some teachers be like, no, you can't do that.
Right? Yeah. No,
that's a great teacher.
Poetry
He knew how to
contest,
get me to apply myself.
Isn't that the point? Yeah. Sure.
He's such an oddball, but in a good way. He stuck out. You're like, oh, I'm like you actually care about your students.
Yeah. Always fun.
Yeah.
Mr. Loomis.
This is a great hometown podcast.
Yeah. But we have so many friends now that are teaching there. Shelly Wilson, and teaching at Meadowbrook, Dale Valentine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I Miss Hessen. Do you ever have her for anything? I don't know. She's like the Deca, like businessy kind of.
I don't think I had her, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, no, she was like the reason I liked the business side of everything.
That's cool.
Like, because she was like, we did DECA, which was like your business club, and they took us like when
see,
you
we
won
didn't
competitions.
have that.
Yeah, it was a newer like thing, you know.
We had not like our. Yeah, we didn't have much to prepare us for outside of high school, except agriculture.
Yeah, that was the big
once
one.
again, you guys are gonna be working outside a lot. So
So for me, like going from John Glenn then to going and being homeschooled, which I loved homeschool because I mean I was the top of my class, I was valedictorian, I loved being homeschooled. But then going to SCPA was obviously doing music was amazing. They had no basketball, no baseball team, no football team, like no athletics at all, which I didn't mind, but it's just so weird to go from.
You can't afford both, evidently.
I guess not. It's so weird to go from a school like John Glenn that's huge on their athletics to a school that has no athletics but then huge in music.
Yeah.
Like I mean, some of the kids there like graduating and go to Juilliard, and some of them go to Berkeley, and it's.
I mean, that's really what it is. It's a launching point for them to go to a major music school or get right out of high school and be able to do what you're doing. Yeah. Figure it out from there. It's a business. You're a business owner, and I think if you get really good at what you're selling, then you don't need college or anything else.
Yeah.
But to go back again one more time before we move on, also wanted to bring up while we're on the topic that we had Brooke Singers that got us again allowed us to express ourselves musically and stuff, which was very similar to the type of show that you guys were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of Broadway meets like, there's some solo parts and everything, but more so it's sing and dance. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's what really got
Todd
me,
Bates.
my basis.
Todd, appreciate you. Bates.
Yeah.
No one will get
I just remember going to him when I was like 10 or whatever. Like what was the duck one?
He put up with so much stuff from us. Man, we were absolutely like it was first period like my senior year, and it was just that poor man.
Yeah, no. Speaking of Todd Bates, I had him for music class, like when we had to take it in middle school, and I remember, like I was dating. I didn't really date anybody until high school, but there was this girl that like I really liked, and so I just was like, "Will you go out with me?" Yeah, and it's the same day. Like it was just a great story.
Was she your age?
Yeah, no, it was actually a 40-year-old woman.
I mean, I didn't know.
But no, like and so I like asked her out in music class. No, it was earlier that day, so it was like second period or something, and then I had music like sixth or seventh period, and she was in my music class, and like I did it over the phone because like you're not really,
Yeah.
So I was dating this girl like digitally, and I saw her in music class, and
He was the first one to get catfished.
No, and I was like, I should probably like say something to her, like we're dating. And I walked over to her table, and like stood there, and I was a terrified child, like I couldn't, like scared to death of everybody. So like I was like, oh, like how's it, whatever. And I'm standing there, and my pants fell down.
And then she was like, "Whoa!"
No, and then later that night,
just fall down.
no, literally, like I had these baggy shorts on. I remember them, and they just fell down. I was
put rocks in your
I was
pockets?
terrified. I probably had a lot of like shit. Yeah. And then later that night on like Facebook Messenger, she broke up with me. So that was the first girl I dated. We dated for like.
She didn't like what she saw.
Yeah, no, we dated for 8 hours.
She was like, "Ew."
Maybe she was just like, now everyone knows.
Yeah,
what you have. So
she's mad.
Really
No, it was his, not yours. But no, that just and he was our teacher. So I wonder if he remembers that. I wonder if he remembers my pants falling down.
Bates. I would say that we probably like that's just not even close to the front of the things that he has remembered. We put that man through some hell. And he is an angel.
Yeah, no, looking back, we had a bad class too.
We were fun, but we just never stopped goofing off. Like it would be the day before, and he's like, no, you guys are doing yourself. I'm not going to show up. Nope, you guys won't take it serious. I'm not going to. have fun, and walk out the door, come right back in. Like, we'd all have a talk. Actually, it'd be the girls, Kristen, Graham, Nikki. They'd be like, guys, seriously, come on. You can get it under control. They were like the moms in there.
That is so funny. What would we do without our teachers? They deserve to get paid a lot more.
Yeah, kind of.
All right. So from the TV show, the MTV show, that was on for...
It was 2 seasons, just one season for me. So I was on the second season.
Okay.
And not that I like squandered it or anything, but they all said that, hey, there's another season coming. And so, I dug in pretty hard. So I started coming to Nashville.
Yeah, I mean, I saw your like Route 21 modeling campaign.
Oh, great. Little opportunities like that came up, and I used those. We all thought another season was coming, so a lot of us were kind of like, okay, we'll just enjoy the stardom or whatever.
Yeah.
It taught me a lot about like instant fame and TV fame.
I want you to talk a little bit about that. You've told me about it several times, and I think your awareness of that and stuff could help a lot of people, especially in the TikTok instant fame era.
Oh, man.
It's like, now what?
Oh yeah, it's. I mean, now I'm back. It's not like resetting because you learn so much, but now I'm building that fan base again. And it's like, of course, my team and I hope that a song will pop off on something, or something along those lines. And I definitely will have a whole different perspective now. You just can never let your foot off the gas. When you have that traction, you just have to run as hard as you can with it because it will be gone so quick. And I talked about my friend Aaron Kelly, who was on American Idol, and it was when American Idol was only doing one season a year, and he was on like season 6, like one of the first few seasons. And I'll never forget that show aired a few months after mine, and by the time mine was finished, it done aired, like no one even knew who I was anymore. Like, I mean, just a month or two. And it was just kind of wild to me because I would walk around Cincinnati and like if I walked down the street, someone would stop me and be like, you're the guy from that show. And then like that was gone. And so I told my friend that was on American Idol, Aaron Kelly, I was like, just be ready. Man. Because, the same thing happened to him. We were at a dinner somewhere on Broadway and people were coming up to him. Yeah. And he was never...
Be ready for the next winner.
Oh,
the next moment.
He was never like, hey, I'm famous, but like I could tell that he had taken his foot off the gas just a little bit. And I was like, hey, just so you know, like that'll end in a couple of weeks, if not, sooner. Yeah. And it did, it just does. Like, we're a society that's like that we get so obsessed with the next big thing, and I was the next best thing from that MTV show for a little bit of time. And I still have fans from that show, but.
Yeah. And I think the lesson is to not just expect it to keep happening for you.
Because it won't. Yeah.
If you got an opportunity like that, it's your job to build off of that, not to just see what happens.
Yep, and I think that's what Alexandra Kay was saying when we saw her last. She was like, hey, just remember, like, have your next song to put out ready. Have your next tour
Amazing
ready.
example. Yeah. Alexandra Kay, if you check out that, I wrote, I kind of don't, the first song that took off on TikTok, I kind of like pushed her to put it on TikTok. I thought it would do really well. I did not expect it to happen that fast and that quick, and she's a perfect example of striking while the iron's hot and not kind of just resting off of what you've accomplished, but being able to build it into a fan base and the stability of a real business that like it's not going to go anywhere now because she's put the footwork in, and man, she has grinded.
And I think that's like the key. If you get something that goes viral on TikTok, if you get a song that pops off, if you get on an MTV show, if you get on one of the, American Idol or The Voice or anything like that, you just can't expect that to hold on. That you just got to be ready to put the next song out.
Yeah,
capitalize on it.
Yep, so many talented people, and if every time that you're taking a break, someone else isn't.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So
yeah, I feel like. Especially right now, like in the year of our Lord 2025, like if you're gonna have like continued success, it almost has to be like a boring success. Like not like what you do is boring, but if you're chasing a high,
yeah, a steady, gradual building of whatever your brand is. Yeah. I agree with that.
Because just look at like the guy that wrote Down in Dallas. I can't use the first word right, but Trey Lewis. You know,
We can just bleep it out.
oh yeah, Dick Down in Dallas. But like Trey, like Trey Lewis, like you know, or like CeeLo, or like there's certain artists that you see that they get that like one song and it's just so massive.
Lil Nas X.
What's that?
Lil Nas X.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and then you don't hear from them for a while, and it's just like sometimes it's so hard to like come out with something that's gonna keep up with that. You know?
I mean, it is so hard to recreate moments. Like they happen when they happen. If they happen organically, it's incredibly hard. We've seen so many people. I won't mention specific names, but like had viral TikTok songs that like hadn't had a career before in music, and were launched into a music career, and the label expected the same exact thing out of them every time they put out a song, and they couldn't recreate that moment for whatever reason, whether it's because those people are listening to someone else now, or there's someone else that came out with something catchier or whatever, and labels would be like, all right, then kind of just shelve them or drop them. And now they're, in a way, you're always kind of like, not as much anymore, but kind of blacklisted after you're dropped by a label. It's like, well, if they couldn't make something work with you, why should we take a shot on you? And so I feel like it put people in weird situations like that. And again, just because they couldn't recreate a moment that was so special, I'm like, they don't have to recreate that moment, build off of it.
Yep.
Like, and because they couldn't recreate that instantly in the next like 6 months, year, they dropped them. I'm like, how many times do they spend millions of dollars breaking an artist that labels do over 2, 3, 4 years before they actually get to a point where these guys got with one song and one viral TikTok?
Yep.
So I'm like, just start there and build. But again, we're just in a world where it's now, next.
And I get it. Like I see like where a label would want that because like that person does have. But the same thing that when I was on the MTV show and I had like, you know, fans from the show, so many times it was so difficult to translate those people to butts in the seats. You know, and I feel like the same thing is going to be hard with TikTok and YouTube and everything else. It's definitely possible. Like when you've got a huge following, like sure you can get butts in the seats, but it's still hard.
The difference is what Alexandra has done and why she's getting butts in the seats and has been even before the Jelly Roll stuff, like, and before the big tour stuff. She was putting 200 to 500 people in venues that her headlining. That's kind of unheard of.
That's
like,
amazing
for just starting out. And the reason was she let people into her life. She gave people real stuff. She was a part of their lives.
Real content.
Every morning with the coffee stuff. It's like every day, people waking up, getting the kids ready, like whatever. They're like, yeah, watch Alexandra K while I'm making breakfast. Or, I mean, she inserted them. She inserted herself in their lives in the moments where people are the most open to new things, the morning. Like, and she did a great job. And when people feel like they know the artist, that's the point of this, is when people feel like they know the artist, or at least me, I'm way more like ready to go to a show. I'll listen to artists if I love the music all the time. If I know the artist as a person, or if I've seen them, I love their personality. I'm way quicker to buy tickets to the show.
Yeah, that's probably why Luke Combs is so successful. I mean, he's just
and great stories. Just how everything unfolded is cool, and those things are all part of the legend, you know, that creates great artists like that.
I know I always go on these random tangents because you guys get it. No, I went to Georgia, like I think it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I went to Georgia and like stayed at the university because I was picking up some glass because I was into glass at that point in my life.
Athens.
Yeah, and so I like bought I got an Airbnb down there, like in one of the little apartments. It was really cute, but I was like, I'm bored. Like I just went alone. Like I was just down there. And
can we stop? And he was like, it was really cute. And we got that right.
Yeah, it was really.
We're
cute.
Not editing.
It was
a
cute little Airbnb. It like very Georgian and
Georgian.
Georgian.
All right, sorry to derail you.
No, I'm always derailed. And I was like, I'm bored. Like I need something to do. And so I was like, what's going on tonight? And Alexandra K was playing there with Tana. And like when she was opening for her, I was like, cool, like I'll go to that. And so I went, and Tana was doing like little autographs and stuff. And I went up, she's like, oh my goodness, like stick around after
Autograph my boobs.
she was like, stick around after the show, like we'll all hang out. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
I got plastered at that show. And I'm standing
And I
at the,
never hung out.
no, yeah, no, and I'm like standing at the bar, like it's closed, like the show's over. I'm standing there just hanging out. And they're like, all right, like the bar, they're like, everybody's got to go, like get out. You know, if you're not with the band, get out. And I'm like, obviously I'm like very intoxicated. So like, I'm trying to explain my situation. And I'm like, no, like I know them. Like I'm supposed to be here. And the guy's like, bullshit, like get out. I was like, no,
Yeah,
like I swear.
just like everyone else had just told me that.
Yeah, right. And I was like, no. And obviously, like looking back now, like it didn't matter. But I was just like, I didn't get mad or nothing. He's like, no, like you got to leave.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. Like I was like, whatever. Like I'm not gonna fight with you. But like they definitely like have them come out. I was like, have them come look at me, like just to, like confirm my identity. And
Give
they
them
were
a
like,
thumbs up.
and literally they were like, no, like we're not doing that. And I'm like, okay, cool. He said, you got to leave now. And I looked over at the bar and like someone left like half a shot of tequila. And I
You
just
grabbed it?
and took it.
Good boy.
And then I left. But
He's like, I'll show you.
yeah. And it was just so like, it was funny because I was like, what are the odds of them playing the day I was going to be there? And then.
And Tana also wrote, I kind of don't. Yeah. It was us three over, I think, 2 or 3 sessions at my old apartment there. Yeah.
But what a night. That was just such a weird night. Like I was just like, no, I promise. Like I know them.
Yeah. Well, I just went to Tyler Rich's show here at Exit Inn, and so I get in and I'm trying to text him, and he didn't know if I was coming or not for sure. So he didn't have a pass ready, and kind of same situation. Walked up there and the girl was like, no, you can't, you don't have a pass. He's like up the steps and in the back there.
And you're like,
And
Tyler, I'm not
our friend Val was there, and she went up and was like, hey, and I was like, all he needed to do is like give a thumbs up, and like good, because they're like, I don't know, 20 yards, 30 yards away, up 2 flight steps. And he kept looking back, and Val's talking to him. I'm like, is she even asking them? I'm just standing there in silence with this security guard, and keeps looking at me and then looking back up. Tyler glances down every now and then. I'm like, he probably can't even see me. It's like completely pitch black down the hallway. And I was like, well, I guess he doesn't know me anymore. And then like he leans down and he's like, look, oh, gives the thumbs up. But yeah, same thing. I was like, oh, I guess I'm not going back there.
Yeah, you guys better hope my ship never comes in, because I'm gonna be like, I don't see you. What are you talking about? Like, no, those guys. Oh God, get them out of here.
I'm like,
they need that's what I have a restraining order.
give him a drink and send him to the bar.
Yeah, it's fun. Like it is funny knowing people, you know, because then like I'm sure that happens to them all the time where they're like, sure, I bet you know him, but you're like, it's just some weird stalker person. It's like,
yeah, over and over. How many, come on, drunk college kids are like, I know him. Like, I can't believe it worked.
So one of my favorite sound companies and sound guys, it's in Eastern Pennsylvania. The guy that owns the sound company, like, I mean, he plays for, I mean, runs sound for, you know, some of the biggest artists, like fairs and festivals. And he was telling me how, like, I asked him, like, what was one of the hardest artists you had to work with? And he's like, Miranda Lambert. And I was like, okay, why? And he said that it was because I guess she went to Blake's concert to visit Blake. I was like, he was telling me that
Mark sponsor.
he didn't know who she was at the time. I mean, like, she wasn't as, you know, successful as she is now, but she was going to see Blake. And this was when they were dating back then. And she went to go see Blake, and he was the owner of the sound company, and like they said, hey, there's a young lady up here that wants to see Blake, and like we're not letting her in. She doesn't have the credentials. And so he goes up, the owner of the sound company goes up to her, is like, sweetheart, I don't know who you are, and even if I did, like, you have to have the credentials to get past state police. He's like, we don't let anyone by. And she's like, you don't know who I am. I'm Miranda Lambert. Like, I'm dating Blake. He's like, look, I honestly, I don't listen to country music. I don't know who you are. I'm just the guy that owns the sound company. And so anyway, you know, she...
That's awesome. I don't feel bad at all.
No. So anyway, long story short, you know,
you shouldn't feel bad either.
She gets furious at him about it, you know, that she would... And then he ends up, like, 2 years later, providing sound for her as the headliner. Well, a guy came backstage stating that he had the right to see her.
I remember you telling this story. Yeah,
And like,
actually, it made news. I think
he was like, "I'm not letting you back," and like, sorry. And here it was. This guy was like a serious stalker of Miranda, like threatened her, threatened to kill her, all types of crazy
and if they
stuff.
would have let him back, who knows what would have happened.
She was crying, like, "Thank you so much for doing that." And she was, "Oh my gosh, you're the same guy that would let me back." And he's like, "That's exactly why I wouldn't do it. You just don't know who the person is unless."
I mean, and let's be honest, like Kerosene and some of her songs. Who knows?
Gotta be a little nervous there.
Who knows?
But now they're the closest friends. So it's sometimes that happens in life. Where you deal with it's almost like some of our teachers. Some of those teachers that were the hardest on us become like some of the closest people in our lives.
Yeah, man. Neat. Looking back, you appreciate it a lot more of even the tough love, and understand it more. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So moving forward, after your Route 21 modeling campaigns and the MTV show, what was next?
So I bounced around a little bit. I finished that MTV show, at 18, 19 years old. And like I said, not that I thought I was famous, but like, I had a sense of like, I did. There was a point where I thought that there's no going back. Like I mean,
you ghosted me for a while.
Yeah, so. Right. You have to think where we're from. And, I never truly felt like I was ever going to be someone special like that. We grew up in such a small area. It's like you're born there, you stay there type thing. And so when I hit that fame and people knew who I was, I thought, well, people will always know who I am. If this doesn't work out, I can just move out to LA and get on TV, a movie show or whatever. Nope. Wasn't like it was incredibly difficult after that to get anything, And so from there I bounced around, that's when I really got into playing live shows. At 18, 19 years old, I realized that I couldn't sell tickets. Like I came to Nashville and they were like, "Oh, you're on this MTV show," and everything. They were like, "Well, how many people can you bring?" And I was like, "Well, I don't think maybe 10."
Yeah, we definitely lacked the tools that we have now.
Oh my God!
To maintain. Again,
Instagram wasn't even out yet. Yeah. YouTube was fresh. YouTube was the way. That's how Kane Brown
and
that
MySpace.
Was the way. And MySpace, that was the way to get discovered. Yeah. And that's what's so crazy is like TikTok is such a great thing, but look at this now. Like it's all about getting discovered, and it just kind of blows your mind. It's nothing new. There's always been a quick route to fame and success, but like I feel like there's still only one true route, and that's the natural route.
There's only one route that I believe will work no matter what. The time frame is, who knows? And that's just putting in the work, going out, playing shows, writing songs, and not stopping.
Heck yeah. So answer your question, that's what I started doing was got off that show at 18, 19 years old, realized that I learned a lot from all that, and I did make fans that are still with me. Shout out to Katie Bauer Sox, like the fans that kept from the show.
Cincy, right?
That's right, yeah. But she's a big fan of yours. But I knew that I had to continue to play live shows, and that's where I started really hitting any place that would take me. I would acoustic, full band, wherever I could go. And started trying to work my way back down to Tennessee.
Yeah. Okay. So then. We'll go ahead and bring in, I think we're going to have her back on sometime with you as well, but your now fiance.
The Pooh.
So in between now and then, you met her.
Yep. So like in my early 20s is when I was burning down bars and clubs in North Carolina, Tennessee, Ohio.
Drinking a little too much.
Oh, yeah. To be honest, that was when I
the whiskey was singing and talking.
The whiskey was talking and singing, and making me move or whatever. But, that's where I got my chops is my early 20s. And, part of me looks back and we talked to Dan Hudson about it because Dan didn't move here you didn't move here till you were close to 30, right?
Yeah,
Same
I was
here.
27.
Yeah, and so I'm sure we all look. And Dan said the same thing. He didn't move here till he was close to 30. And
I'm glad because who knows?
See, who knows? And for me, my early 20s is when I got my chops playing live shows and got that experience. And if I wouldn't have done that, who knows where I'd ended up here? So
yeah.
That was like a good 5 years of playing. Bars and clubs for whoever would take me. And I was doing mostly covers. And that's when, I think I was 20, I'd have been 26 or 27 when I met Paige. And at that period of my life, I was like, okay, it's time to quit indulging in the live shows as much. Like quit meeting ladies at the shows.
Yeah.
Quit drinking at the shows.
It
It's like
seems to be the time for most men, especially men playing music, is like 26, 27. I mean, that's traditionally why record labels didn't hire or didn't, like, in country music, sign anyone until they're 25, 26, 27. Because they want them to be mature enough to not be a liability constantly. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Looking back, if I would have gotten a record contract at that age, and I'd have probably it wouldn't have kept it, and then had to get a second record contract in my 30s.
And we're kind of seeing that same thing happen with a bunch of this viral stuff. It's like, well, they're getting thrown into being a instant star, kind of, where they're surrounded by drinking and everything else, and they have to be on all the time.
They're not used to it.
And they can't, they indulge in it too much quickly, like we all do. I know I did when I first moved to Nashville, and I think that's what happens. And it's like they don't have the foundation mentally and stuff to go out and continue this as a career, or they have to take a step back sometimes.
Yeah.
And then it's still there. They can always redo it, but I think you just have to have that switch in you to be like, okay, I need to pause for a minute and build this the way I want to build it.
Yep. It's that I took those years, and I figured, again, looking back, like, could I have moved to Nashville sooner? But I honestly don't think I'd be the person that I am today. I think I came to Nashville right when I was supposed to come to Nashville. I met you right at the time I was supposed to meet you. Met Paige right at the right time. So when I met Paige, I had just made the decision, like, quit drinking at the shows. Like, I didn't quit drinking. Like, I always drink. But I was like, okay, I probably don't.
You weren't partying during the shows.
Yeah, I don't need to be partying at my job. You know what I mean? And I started to see the quality of the shows get better. I got more work done on the tour bus. And then it's funny how life works. Like, if Paige would have met me even 6 months to a year before,
she would have been like, no
this
way.
Loser. Yes. And so I'm very lucky she met me at the time. Gave me
you
a chance to
also
show her
were
the good
deciding.
side. Yeah. And then, her and I dated I started to slowly get out of bars and clubs and turn our attention to the fairs and festivals. And that's where we're at now. We mostly play fairs and festivals through the country. And, she would tell me, she's like, you can't drive all the way down to North Carolina for $100. Like, you got to quit taking these gigs where you're driving for,
spending more in gas than you're making.
Yeah, you're in a $20,000 car, driving, 1,000 miles for $100. With $5,000 worth of gear in your trunk,
But there's something to be said about that.
Oh, again, I think everyone should do it.
At some point. Yeah. I believe that it is a necessity to play for the love of it and not expect anything. That's how you get your chops, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And then there's a point where you got to set a standard, and you got to make that standard.
Creating a value for yourself.
And that's where she came in. She was like, okay, it's time to start playing the bigger shows, playing less shows, and start putting more of your own music in there. Because at that point, I was one of the best cover bands in Ohio. But
yeah, which is why you eventually got back to me.
That's right. I was like, I need your help.
All right, tell that story. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
All right. So my first interaction with Adam, I believe it was your cousin had mentioned something about, like, comment on something. You should get with Adam and, like, whatever. And I was like, who's Adam? And Jenna had told me that she had danced with your cousin and, like, knew of you and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, the kid that was on the show. I didn't know that. Like, didn't even know you were from the area or anything. And I was down here, and I had some stuff moving. It wasn't, I was kind of like, the iron was hot at that time. And I'd reached out to Adam on Facebook, and we should pull it up. We should pull up the messages.
I wasn't tech savvy. I wasn't tech savvy.
Oh, he read the message, and then, like, it was probably, like, maybe a year later, I wrote him again, and I was like, hey, man, just I saw that you read this, and was checking in to see if you wanted to get together. Your cousin had reached out and stuff. Well, if you're ever in Nashville. And then there was, like, another 6-month period, I think. And then finally got back to me and was like, hey, yeah. Well, then go ahead, finish the story.
He loves making me feel bad about this. He just loves it.
I think it's a cool story. I don't want to make you feel bad. I think it's cool that, again, maybe the first time I reached out how it would have happened. It's not the way it happened this
Oh,
time.
100%.
So you know what I mean?
When we
I think
finally
it was
got
your
together, it was
timing
with
too.
Paige,
I think
yeah.
you even mentioned that. You were like, I was still drinking a lot and like not. I was just like going wild, kind of playing
Yeah.
shows and not like caring. So I think you got back to me at the time that you actually like again, things lined up right. But
I mean, it might have been actually Paige too that was like, "Hey,
Probably,
you need to like,
let's be
you need to
honest.
meet like this guy that's from your hometown that's a hit writer and like lives in Nashville where you want to move to." And then like you took me in like I'll never forget the first time you were so serious when we first met. Like you were Ryan, but you were like protective Ryan. Like first time meeting, you were just a completely different person. Then you started to open up, and then you're like, "Well, you can come stay with me." And I remember the first time you took me on my first like co-write with you. It was with what's his name? We went to his apartment. Clayton Shea.
Clayton Shea.
Yep, and I was so nervous, and I just remember that was still one of the first writes with you, like that I had written with you, and you were like
Yeah, yeah.
nice enough to take me to like one of your writer buddies, and I was like, oh my god.
The very first right though was just me and you.
Yep.
Which
we wrote a
is-
smash.
We wrote this song Where People Don't Go, and you'll hear like, so my buddy who went to John Glenn that played drums for my old band in Ohio and stuff, Grant Woodard, who now has a band in Cincinnati as well. He's a doctor of physical therapy, but like him being a doctor, come on, Grant. Yeah, so he went to John Glenn and stuff, and he lived on Rough and Ready Road.
Wow.
And you were telling me that, like, when we sat down to write, you were telling me that story that that's where you lived off of. And he used to tell me, too, the same exact story that the green, like, normal street signs that you see everywhere, it says Rough and Ready. And we live in Hicktown, USA. And people would steal it.
Still doesn't have a sign.
It would be up for a day or two. And I think, like, after, I don't know how many signs were gone.
Which is like
people
a felony.
stole. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Like, it's
It
our
is a
hometown.
literal felony.
I mean, our hometown people are like, you know what? I don't care. I'm taking this
What?
sign. It's beautiful.
Who's going to catch them?
Nobody.
The deer?
Yeah,
like,
no
come
way.
on. Yeah. So, yeah. And then if you listen to that song, Where People Don't Go, we actually talk about that right away. So we connected off that. And we even though we didn't know each other, our area is incredibly small. And, I mean, the culture is the same anywhere in southeastern Ohio. So we kind of knew each other already, like, by proxy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. What's funny is all those street signs are actually in my barn
Yeah.
property. I'm like,
And what you don't know is Grant has half of them and you have
I
the
have
other half.
It's so
And
funny.
he's a doctor.
Yes. Well, so he's more to blame. But,
Dang.
but yeah, we were able to connect that way, knowing each other, and then the rest was pretty much history. And like you were nice enough to let us stay with you and hook me up with your
We had
rights,
some-
which you didn't have to
Yeah,
do.
good times at that old apartment too.
Oh, I loved it, and like then I just started being like, "This is my place now. I'm coming next week."
Pretty much.
Were you put together when you met Ryan? Like,
Probably one of the better spots in my life, I think, at that point. Because I'd met Paige, and her and I like went from dating to her starting to represent my career and like manage my interest, which she still does, and
Which
still
meant
protects
that,
me to this day.
which meant that you were putting her name on the line too.
Yep.
Which I'm sure helped clean you up as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
I was not.
Yeah.
Well,
He's like, I'm unemployed and I can do whatever I want.
yeah,
There's something lovely about that.
I was single, unemployed. Like I was 23-ish, 22 probably when I met you.
You were smiling at everybody.
Yeah.
Smiling.
So-
yeah,
Man, you did. You went. Was
I think the first night I
Was it
met
Craig
you, I
Morgan,
threw up
like-
in your
no, that was
washing
okay.
machine.
In your washing
Oh, that was the
machine.
first time you came to Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, backtrack from there. How he
This is a great story.
So he is, I've known his family. I've known his cousins and his dad and everyone. Even though Caleb was younger than me, like our area is so small. Like I knew all of his family and knew of him and that he was a good dude. I think, I mean, all right person, whatever.
Yeah, average.
And so I think it was the Craig Morgan the fair
Yeah, the Guernsey County Fair.
open up for him. Was that the first thing you did?
I think.
I
yeah.
remember, I think someone reached out to me and was like, "Hey, you should have Caleb like do it. He's like
'cause
getting
Shelley
into
was-
videography." And stuff. Oh
Shelly
yeah,
was doing photos.
Shelly is the one who told me
Okay.
to have you do the video and that she could do photos. Yeah, yeah. Then I mean, I took you. You went to Wisconsin with me.
What was that place?
Shullsburg.
Shullsburg. Yeah, that would have that was
Fair festival or something.
No, hometown throwdown. So Shullsburg is very. I would compare what we played to the Byesville Fireman's Fest type thing.
cool.
There's like 1,000 people probably in this baseball field in this small town that's a map dot connected to other map dots like through Wisconsin there.
Love Wisconsin, by the way.
But the sweetest people, man, the people that threw it, that town, everyone. I mean, they were chanting my name like and
Yeah.
stuff before the show.
they're big country music.
Just so
Huge
generous,
country
man.
music
They
fans.
one of the big people that helped sponsor and stuff in town. Like they took us back to their place. We met
watched
with
the
other
sunrise.
sponsors. Yeah, we drank a lot. We ate,
that was
we
like
ate
right
a lot.
when,
We saw some classic cars that were worth
Yeah.
more than I'm worth for sure.
that was
Yeah.
right when Morgan Wallen came out with that one song where he's like, "See the sun come up, party all night." I forget. Living the dream.
his last time
Living the
song.
dream. And we were listening to that as the sun came up at like 4:30 that morning.
Yeah.
We're like, well, we should probably go to bed.
Oh, those folks know how to drink beer too.
Yeah.
The folks in Wisconsin and Minnesota, like I feel like the folks in Wisconsin drink a lot of beer because like Milwaukee and all that stuff's like from the east side of Wisconsin. But then you get further up into Minnesota and they drink heavy too, just because they got to keep warm. You know?
Just because there's nothing to do 8 months out of the year.
I literally just had one of my friends on Facebook send me a picture of his backyard, and they're like, "Well, it's actually warmed up today. It's like 48 or 45," and they're like in t-shirts. I
Got
love
the
those
little
folks.
cheese hats on.
Shout out to Wisconsin.
Yeah,
I'm playing in Wisconsin this year. We're playing. It's in Mineral Point. I wonder where that is compared to where you were at. It's this is like south.
We
of
were
the
not
Dells.
far from the Four Corners area, which is like
So North Dakota and
Wisconsin, Illinois.
Okay.
I think Minnesota and my geography. Good Lord, whatever the other one is.
Iowa.
Maybe.
Minnesota.
Yeah. That seems right. Yeah. No, Iowa.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Yep. Those like 4. So what? It was maybe only an hour into.
It was. We
Wisconsin.
stayed on the
Okay.
border,
Yeah.
I think.
Southern.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we drove
Yep.
into it. But I also heard that like they didn't invent the cheese curd.
They do know. Yes. Oh yeah.
But I
they
heard they
didn't.
didn't.
No, but they have the
But like
best
they
cheese
they
curds.
promote it, and so that's the only beef I have with Wisconsin.
They. I like to think of Wisconsin, Minnesota as extensions of or the melting pot between Canada and the United States.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
They got all the cheese curd stuff. What is it?
Oh, sausage. The big on there like sausages, sausage and cheese, beer. Obviously beer.
Poutine or
Aaron Rodgers.
Right? What's it called?
Yeah, it is.
Someone.
Poutine.
Poutine. Yeah, it's where you put
yeah.
cheese on.
'Cause I thought
on,
they kept saying
it's-
poutine.
Well,
Some
it's
French
the cheese
fries.
curds and stuff.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it
on
was the French,
fries.
and then they were just like, "We're gonna take it," and that's what pisses me off about Wisconsin. They were like, "We made poutine." No, you didn't. That was the French people, or was it British? I don't know. It doesn't matter really.
Poutine. Yeah. That's
Poutine?
what it's called.
It is.
Anyways,
That's the gravy. It's
I love
gravy over
Wisconsin,
French
by the
fries.
way, and Caleb does too.
I do. I
Don't let
really
him fool
do.
you.
Wisconsin's a great place. You were very hospitable.
They were amazing. Yeah.
Played a lot of pinball. You get a lot of food.
Yeah, they were rich. That's for sure.
I can't
they were
remember
redneck
meeting you.
rich.
I don't remember the exact like.
I'm trying to think. Was it in Buffalo?
Maybe I don't know. I don't know if you
I
were,
think,
like
Schaefer?
I
part,
think it was something we did together and you came out. I think that was the first time you met him.
was it. I don't know if it was Schaefer's or not.
Now, of course, one of the
I
first
think it
times would have
was
been
probably
out at
Wagon,
Brad's.
or I think it was Wagon Wheel when we did that. Like
where I almost got beat up.
not that time.
Not that time,
No.
yeah.
We could have a whole episode on Caleb smiling his way into fights.
Someone
Yeah.
should have just knocked that guy out. I wish some other big guy would have just came and just knocked him flat and been
Dude.
like, "Hey, he's just smiling at you."
I just remember like
Are we gonna have to? We're gonna have to tell the story now, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, we were in small town like Ohio, so Buffalo, Ohio, whatever Derwent, whatever you want to call it.
You know why they call it that?
Senecaville.
There's a bar there, like it's the only bar, and
It's a
within
big bar
30
now.
minutes-
Apparently, that's where I lost my virginity.
What?
I didn't know if you guys.
It's one of the
Where-
very first places I met
Where are we
Paige.
going?
I don't.
What-
I did.
what
I
is-
lost-
R-rated podcast.
in the-
What is
here
happening?
at
I lost
Whiskey
my
Talkin.
virginity.
I didn't even know that bar existed
in the
like,
wagon wheel parking lot. Like
until,
that
like-
should tell you a lot.
How old are you, Caleb?
I was
When
old.
did- I was old. He said. All right. Well,
But no, go back to that story first.
all right, but we're gonna have to hear that one eventually for sure. Not the details, but
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
All right, so we're in. It's called the Wagon Wheel. I knew this one would
Is
get
it
off.
still called the wagon wheel?
It.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's
Yeah.
been called Wagon Wheel for a
Forever.
while. Yeah. Anyways, so this small bar there, we were playing a benefit. Adam and I we were in town. I think we were shooting a music video at the same time or something, and Adam and I happened to be back home in town, Guernsey County, and there was a family in Buffalo, Ohio, who had lost their house to a fire. And we, last minute, played this little acoustic benefit show at the Wagon Wheel to raise money for that family and stuff.
Yeah. One of the bartenders messaged me. No. This is part of.
Is that who you
story.
lost your virginity
No.
to?
Well, yes, but not that one.
Was it that night, Caleb?
No.
That was like 5
That's
years
It's supposed to be a
ago.
fundraiser,
I
Caleb,
was
not a
around you guys
razor.
the whole time, so if I did, you would have known. But no, she messaged me and was like, "Hey, I saw you were hanging out
Yeah.
with Ryan.
Yeah.
You think they would come do this show?" And you were in town. I was like, "Hey, you guys want to do this?" And you were like, "Yeah." So it worked. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
that.
who was it?
I think it was Jocelyn LaFollette.
Okay.
I think I might be wrong.
Anyways, so yeah, that's how we got there. So we set up Adam's. Wow, this night was eventful. We set up Adam's small acoustic PA since he lived he had a store up the road at his place where he lives, Cumberland / whatever. Yeah. And Adam was coming later, so we're all there, and it's rolling around to start time, and we're still waiting, and then we go out back. I'm having a few beers, and I come back in, and I guess we're gonna have to start. I don't know what's going on, and someone's like, Adam just went by. His bus is smoking.
Oh, was that night?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was the same night.
Yeah.
I was sitting here wondering if that was the same night.
Yep. So Adam felt the need to drive his bus. He was actually trying to learn how to drive.
This is
it.
what he says every time we tell this story. Now, here's the truth.
All right, go
Is that
ahead.
Ryan was like, bring whatever gear you have. And I was like, well, it's all underneath the bus. And he's like, well, don't bring the bus. He's like, just bring the gear. And I'm like, in my head, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to get all of this gear out from under the bus and put it in a pickup truck. I might as well just take the bus.
And you
down.
also said that you wanted to practice driving on flat roads.
Yeah, so my luck,
yeah.
of course. These are one of the very first times I've ever driven that bus. And it's a manual. It's a 1986. It probably has a million miles
And
on
we're
it.
playing. We're about to play for a benefit for
house
someone
burnt down.
whose house burnt down.
That's
And
terrible.
Adam, go ahead.
And so yeah, so we pull in, we literally just pull right in front of this bar, and I can see Ryan and everyone inside. And my dad, I sort of get out of the driver's seat, and and I look up, and I can just see just a wisp of smoke on the ceiling. And I looked at my dad, and I was like, Dad, I think we've got a fire somewhere. And so my dad immediately went out and, went around the outside of the bus thinking maybe the engine's on fire or the generator bay. Well, meantime, I start making my way back through the back of the bus, and I sure enough found the fire was in the back lounge, burning the back lounge to the ground, with my guitar case sitting on that bed in flames engulfing my guitar case. So I grab the guitar case and throw it off the
In the
bus.
meantime, there's troopers, state troopers out there already.
Fire department.
Volunteer fire department was there already, and everyone's in the bar like, what the heck is going on? We thought we were gonna have to play another benefit the next day for Adam's bus.
The best part was was that like the next day or that night on Facebook, everyone was posting pictures of it, and they were like, Adam's bus burnt to the ground, all the gear's completely lost. And I was like, we saved the bus, you know, nothing was hurt. And that was the thing, is that, you know, we did put it out. My dad and I put it out all by ourselves.
You were the talk of the town, man.
Yeah, for the wrong reason. And then the fire department did come, and they're dragging this hose, right? And I'm like, hey guys, we got it put out. And they're like, hey, doesn't matter, by law, like we have to put it out. And so they opened up the window of that back lounge and just dumped like the hose in there and sprayed that entire back lounge. It was just a mess and soaked. But the bus is still on tour, so.
Still working. It actually helped you, right? Rebuild the back better.
Yeah. I mean,
you wanted to, anyways. You wanted to finish.
It was time for a remodel anyway. Let the insurance company pay for it. But right. Shout out to Allstate. They don't insure me anymore.
Shout out to Allstate. They will not insure me.
They dropped me. Anyway.
All right.
That was a cool night. Guess what song? Do you remember what song I played? Like when you were like, okay, you're gonna start this thing. You remember what song I played? The Fireman by George Strait.
Well, yeah. I don't remember that because by that point, I think I was drunk and people were pulling me everywhere. Like, just to...
What are you going to do?
Take pictures and, like, I think they all thought that was the show. Just the bus, like, burning was the show. So.
It was packed. It was...
They're like, we get it. Fire's bad. We'll give you money. Thanks for the real-life example right in front of us.
Yeah, you drove donations that night for sure.
My dad was the MVP, though. I'll never forget. I told my dad's like, let's get off the bus and just let it do its thing. And when the department gets here, fine. And I was like, in that point in my career, I'm still like where I'm at now. Where I'm like, this is my mode of transportation. And I'm like one of those artists that's lucky enough that my old man bought a shell of a bus and we built this thing ourselves. I almost felt like that was my pirate ship. Like if it's going down, I'm going down with the sucker. You know?
I always make fun of Adam. There's an old song called "Cover of the Rolling Stone." I think it. Man, we might have to edit this out if I get it wrong. I think it was Dr. Hook was the band.
Like the Peter Pan.
No, or was it the Rolling Stones? Was it? No, because it was the cover of the Rolling Stones.
We'll edit that out so he doesn't look dumb.
Too late.
But there's a line where it's like, basically how he stays rich is like, got my gray-haired daddy driving my limousine.
My dad talks about that song all the time. He literally, that's him.
Adam's dad drives a bus. We could do an entire podcast on Adam's dad, Ted. But yeah, what a blessing that he knew what he was doing.
It was crazy. I mean, it was crazy because he was like, "Hey, just it's not worth us losing our lives, And I was like, "For me, it is."
Then as he shoved you back there, he's like, "It's not worth us losing our lives,
but you,
Adam, go get it."
I mean, it was something that I'll never forget, like a bonding moment between my dad, because he told me, he's like, "Okay, well, if you're going in, I'm going in with you." And he's like, and I'm going to hold the back of your shirt collar. Yeah. And he's like, if something happens and you black out from smoke inhalation, I'm going to pull you out. And I mean, it was, we knocked it out.
Your dad's a real man.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's MVP for sure.
He's like a MacGyver, like Navy SEAL type, like intelligence, where it's like they figure out anything and no man left behind. Like,
as we film this podcast, my dad's at our little shack in Tennessee here, putting in a shower stall.
We should bring him back over and put him on here.
Man, that would be really cool.
The stories, oh my gosh. All right. Anyways, so I think this started about Caleb smiling too much and like that him
That's
almost getting
more than
a fight.
one time.
Yeah. All right. So all
of
that happens. We do the show and we have a good time. It goes all the way to closing time, and it's just kind of us in there, friends and the bartenders and the owner, and then a couple random dudes. This dude was like probably 6'4", like he was taller than me and at least 350 pounds. He was huge, man. He was as big as all three of us.
It would have taken all three of us to probably get down.
I was across the bar, and then someone's like, "That dude's about to fight Caleb," and I was like, "What?" I went over there, and I was like, "What's going on?" And I tried talking to him. He's like, "He won't stop smiling at me, man." And I was like, "Caleb just smiles a lot." He's like, "No, he's talking about me. He's smiling." And I'm like,
I don't on the other side of the bar.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
you can't hear
like
what I'm saying.
Probably.
And I'm probably 15, not smiling at
20
you.
feet away at least in a bar, along the bar. And I finally get him calmed down, and he's with his girlfriend, and he's like, "No, man, I'm cool. We're cool. We're cool." And I was like, he's like, "My girl wanted to take a picture with you anyways." And I was like, "All right, well, let's do that." And then he didn't want to get in the picture, and I was like, "Let's get a picture together. Let's all get a picture." Cool. We get it. I think everything's smoothed out. And I told him, I was like, "Caleb's a good guy." I was like, if he was smiling, it's because he was laughing at something. I was like, he just constantly happy kind of. And okay, man, okay. And he like calms down. He's like, and I was like, if you go over there and like just say, "Hey, are we cool?" and shake his hand, like whatever, like things will be fine. He's like, "You're right. I should apologize. I should apologize," whatever. And I was like, cool. I'm talking to his girlfriend. He walks over, and I just see like him stick out his hand, and then Caleb like go to stick out his hand with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
And like, there he goes again. he won't stop smiling at me. And I was like,
And he
oh
got
my
mad
God.
again.
Yeah. And then he
Yeah.
rips his shirt off. Like we needed that. And just literally, I was like, "Caleb, go out the back. Like, go, just leave." And I was like, "I'll stay here, talk to him." And basically, I was trying to talk to him like that, like, "No, I'm gonna, he better not be leaving." And I was like, finally, Caleb like leaves, and then I get out of the way, and the guy's out looking for him with his shirt off outside, and I was like, all because of what? And the guy came back in, and I was like, "What did he do?" He was like, "He was smiling." And I was
funny.
like, "Did he say anything to you or about you? Or like
No.
no, but I know he probably was because he was smiling." And I was like, "Holy crap!" Like Caleb's
And
smile
we could
is
blame
like
that on
an
like a small
instigator.
town thing, but then the same thing happened on Broadway.
Stop.
or this
Stop.
town.
Yeah. We'll save that one. We'll save
I
that one for
remember
another podcast.
When it first happened,
Which one?
the first one.
Okay.
Or whatever one. It was the 2nd one.
We'll save
but-
the second one with
Yeah.
he who shall not be named later.
But I remember like right when it was happening, Adam ran up to me and he said, I can go get the gun. I can go get the gun. I was like, "No, we're probably fine. Like it's okay." But
everyone wanted to
that
fight.
whole night was
I was just like, "Get out of here!" And I was like, "We'll distract him and let it go." Like he doesn't even like. I could tell. And the owner was like, "Man, he's been here drinking since 3:00, and it was like 2. Yeah,
In the morning.
yeah, it was closing time.
Like 24 hours.
So I was like, he won't even remember this like tomorrow. Just get out of here and like let's call it a night. Like there's no point in like doing anything. And he probably won't even, he could probably watch this and won't even remember it. So his girlfriend probably remind him though.
Yeah,
"Oh, remember that night when you took your shirt off?" And
that whole thing was just like that whole night. And I mean, other than that part was just that was like one of the first nights I've seen that bar like really packed.
Oh, he said that that's the most people they've ever had in there. Yeah. It was cool.
And now, I mean, for whatever reason, people back home know why, but that bar is packed all the time now. Like it is the bar to go to.
Dude, then we need to go
we
do a
set the
hometown
trend,
show
so-
there.
Right? Yeah. No, it was like
They knew we were all there once. So
right. Yeah,
Do
that's
they have a
absolutely-
patio?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We should do a show out in the patio. That'd be cool. Hometown show.
And
That would be
and live
crazy.
podcast.
That would be so
Yeah.
neat.
I thought about this too. We should do some live podcast ones, with like acoustic like setup and do like a 2-3 hour thing where we talk and we do some acoustic performance stuff.
It'd be like what we
that.
did in 2020, except for bird flu's coming, so we might have a chance again.
Yeah. Was that during 2020?
It was.
I feel like that's why too. Like people are
yeah.
like, we want something to do.
It was
You know?
right
Yeah,
before
yeah.
2020, maybe. Like right.
No, it was
Was
it,
it
It was
around then?
during.
it was yeah. It had to be during 2020. That's when we shot the video
Yeah.
back home. Yeah.
And I
the
just feel
fall
like
of 2020
it was just
winter.
like people were like, "Oh, something to do." Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
Not sit at home. And that bar obviously didn't care. Like.
Well,
like-
that was they had just started lifting
Yeah.
a lot of restrictions. Like even down here, there's so many bars that were open outside of Broadway. Even Broadway had bars open at like 50% capacity, I think, at the time. Yeah,
Isn't that crazy to think that that was real?
right. We just went through Caleb's smile too much fight story. Like we got plenty more of those. I think we got 2 more that I was like, this is like a real thing.
Yeah.
And we'll get to those in other podcasts probably. But right now, we're back with Adam Calvert. And so after all of that, the traveling show the MTV show, getting your chops, playing acoustic stuff, playing anything and everything you can. In your early 20s, you meet Paige. You kind of get everything back on track. And then you're living now near Nashville, Tennessee. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so, I started coming to Nashville like solid 5 years ago or so, 5 or 6 years ago. And that's when I met you, and you started letting us crash at your place, and we'd stay with John and John Townsend and Joe Bonvillain.
Yeah, John's playing for
Knox. Yeah, playing for Mr. Knox. They're on tour right now, 20-date tour, killing it, proud of those guys. Yeah. And, but we knew that, like, you had said it, John had said it, like, everyone said, hey, like, your next move is getting to Nashville. And I was like, okay, well, we're staying in Nashville. And they're like, no, you need to, like, have a place here. Like, you need to live here. And so, we, growing up in Cambridge,
and, let's, if you can keep that real quick. And that's something that I heard over and over, everyone's heard. And I think it still rings true in a certain, like, sense. Of course, you can blow up and be in the other side of the country,
or Nashville to make
but I think for longevity and to be surrounded by people who are dreamers, who get it, who can encourage, and like that, to me is the magic of Nashville.
The real,
you're around people who get you.
Yeah, there's something to be said about, like, obviously your constituents and your fans will take you more seriously because, like, you live in Nashville, which I don't think that's the reason to move to Nashville. What you just said is the reason to be here around collaborators.
The growth as an artist that it allows, the growth as a writer, as a content creator, as a videographer, a photographer, a business owner. Again, Nashville is just filled with dreamers.
Yeah, and go-getters.
People with ambition and drive. Or people who at least can fake ambition and drive. But it's the energy that is important to me, that if I go other places, music's not always at the forefront of my brain. And like here it is. And even enjoying music is at the forefront.
100%.
Yeah. So anyways, go ahead again.
Yeah, so, everyone was saying that, you got to get to Nashville, which on different levels, which I completely agreed with. But a lot of people were like, hey, just get any place that you could, and for me, I'm an only child, and I grew up where we all grew up, and even today, coming to your place, and I just wrote in the Music Row, like, just that little bit of being in the city and driving in the city, I was like, I made the best decision ever, so, you guys know this whole thing, but for the folks listening, we bought 11.5 acres, about 41 miles outside of town, which takes Ryan comes out all the time.
50 minutes exactly. Yeah. And it's no traffic. It's just a straight shot.
It's beautiful. Hickman County, it's just a gorgeous area. And, Ryan and Caleb and everyone comes out. And we have, I can come to their place in the city to write and record and work.
And we're 10 minutes from downtown. Yeah.
Super close to downtown. And then you guys can come out and rip and roar out at our place. And we can ride four-wheelers. And Ryan brings his monster Jeep out there. And we hit the trails on it. And it's been a dream come true. And, I love being able to be in Nashville, and I thought that drive into town would eventually get to me. It hasn't yet. Like,
it's enjoyable. It's a shot to like recoup and like kind of mentally go through checklists and stuff.
Oh, heck yeah! Warm up your voice. Like, whenever we go to a session, it gives me a little under an hour to warm up my voice and collect my thoughts and all that.
Caleb knows all about that.
Yeah.
Caleb's constantly warming up that voice.
Always gotta keep it nice and silky.
You were just out there that way today, right?
Yeah, I'm working in Fairview, so it's cool. And I live downtown, so I'm 0 minutes. Like,
you're in it. Yeah,
I'm in it, and it's not bad.
Give them a shout out.
The Wayward, it's a cool little apartment complex if you're looking to move here.
It's like a mini city, dude.
Yeah, it's
right on the river,
just being
right
built.
across First. So the east side of the river.
Is that down the tracks or by the railroad depot?
By like Top Golf.
Yeah, you see Top Golf. It's right there.
Yep. He can walk to Top Golf, like literally.
Mm-hmm. And
so
it's
cool.
Yeah, it's a cool little. I mean, they're building a walk bridge. Probably not this year or next year even.
Cool spot for sure.
It's gonna be like the next like real busy spot. I think.
Yeah, like the Gulch or something like that.
It's all built out.
It is the beginning of them completely like industrializing that side of the river there. Like having all those people there, they have their built-in like restaurants and a brewery and stuff that are kind of built into that complex community. But now everything over there with Topgolf too, and that, I feel like all of that kind of wasteland over there is just going to start popping up, because they're going to have people that can walk to those places. Before they had it, it's like, who would cross the river just for one or two things when you have everything on the other side on First and down Broadway. So I think it's going to be crazy to see what all happens over there now.
Yeah, it's going to take time, but it's I just think it's like the closest spot to downtown that has grass, like that has land still
and
that they're building.
And you're right on the water, like
What a cool town to live in, though. Like, it's growing. Like, there's so much to do. Like, I've heard they're putting trying to build a Chinatown or start a Chinatown somewhere in that area, down in that area, and like, of course,
and then they're probably building nuclear weapons right there.
Yeah, right, ready to go. But it's like the food.
Can we say
town,
nuclear? Like, is that one of the? That's probably a blacklisted word.
Nuclear. But it's like, there's so much good food in this town, like English food, Thai food. There's everything to do. But yeah, I love being out, away from everything and being able to still come into town and do all that stuff. But it's been a dream come true being out there and out in BFE.
Yeah, we how long ago was that?
2 years.
2, yeah. So I was lucky enough to go out and look at some properties and stuff with Adam when they were first looking too.
That one, that's crazy.
It was kind of the one that even I was like, there's just so much potential, and there's still a ton of potential there. To build that in, like what you want to do, build a studio, kind of a compound thing with where you can have writers' retreats and stuff. So we'll look forward to that.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, so what's new? I mean, as far as music, I know you put out a few songs. What was your last single?
Better on the Beach. This year we're going to be putting out more music than I ever have before, thanks to you and thanks to everyone else that I've been writing with. Big Vinny and Dan Hudson and John Townsend and Damon Mitchell and you and
Allie.
I'm probably missing somebody.
Allie,
Colleen. Yes, I mean, a lot of great artists that I've been collaborating with. Wrote with a guy named Cliff Dorsey today. I wrote with Cliff today. Fantastic artist from Florida, lives in Nashville now.
Great.
And just excited about putting out a lot more music. I think, I've done the cover band thing for a decade, and now I've been, slowly performing my own songs out. And I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, should I take this double header out, hundreds of miles from, or 1,000 miles from Nashville, or is it time to take a couple writes that weekend and work on trying to write that next big single, that next big hit?
And we've had that discussion before too. I think you have a crazy good live show that I think is on par with almost any B-level like label act or anything that they're putting tons of money behind. And the one thing that you did that, and to me you solidified that. You have one of the most fun, well put together live shows of any artist of your caliber, in my opinion.
Which is great, but it's like, then now what?
And eventually though that ends, there's going to be more people, and you can't play the same venues over and over. They won't have you. You can't play the same festivals. So you have to find new avenues to create that income.
It's that song.
And and music, and getting your original music out and getting your product out there for people to grasp onto. For sure.
So this year I've been trying to spend a lot less time, which is a hard pill to swallow because I love playing live shows, but this year, instead of spending, 6 to 8 weeks in the golf touring, we spent 3 weeks in the golf touring. And those other 5 weeks, I was here with you writing and recording and shooting music videos and getting headshot images ready. And like this year now, I'm going to have a lot more to feed my fans, which like last year, I think I only put out 2 singles last year, so this year I'm hoping to put out like 5 to 10.
Which is still stepping up.
Yeah.
And I think you're doing it right. The stuff that you created in the shows and the relationships that you had to keep them alive. And I think this is the point where you need to start pumping out music. And I think,
So that's going to be this year.
You're doing it.
We got a ton of songs that Ryan and I have written. That we've been in the studio 2 or 3 times in the last month. We've got a date May 2nd, or May 1st or 2nd. We'll be back in the studio, record another song that Ryan and I wrote with a group called The Heels. Fantastic ladies from Canada that live here in Nashville most of the year. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to put more music video. We filmed a music video down in Florida. Would have been like 2 weeks ago. So, we're going through the editing process now. Hopefully we'll have that out in the next couple of weeks. And then, Paige has worked incredibly hard to have a great touring season. We just want to make sure to have, music to go with that. But, for the folks listening, wherever you might be, we may be in your neck of the woods this summer. We're going to be in Moab, Utah, July 4th weekend.
You have an online schedule,
Yeah,
right?
schedule's out online.
Yeah, we'll have that link down in the description below this video as well. You'll be able to click and see all of his dates as well.
Yeah, come see the full band and I. As you know, I love playing live shows, and we put a lot of time and energy into producing the show and getting all the production ready. And this year we're gonna have some new toys to promote and show the public. We're excited about
their
that.
biggest attraction and their biggest thing for the live show is the flaming bus. Yeah.
Come see the flaming bus. Help us buy another one. Please cover us insurance.
Not Allstate, sorry.
Yeah, not Allstate this time. But yeah, we're looking forward to some great shows this year. Moab, Utah, out in California. We're back at the Delaware State Fair
Yeah, I
this
was gonna
year.
say,
Love Delaware.
That was a cool one.
We talked about Wisconsin earlier. I'm playing. It's in Iowa County, which is just south of the Wisconsin Dells. Gonna make sure to get tons of cheese curds, even if they aren't from France. Or poutine, or what's it?
Yeah, poutine.
Poutine?
Poutine.
I'm going to get some poutine.
Not
in
Pootie
Wisconsin.
Tang. Yeah. Speaking of, I need to go back and watch that movie, Pootie Tang.
I've never seen that.
Oh, just one part I remember over and over. It's ridiculous, but yeah, we'll save that for another time. Speaking of your property, we just got the final edit for a video that we shot out there. You were gone. You last used the property. It wasn't
High hopes?
yeah, nothing. I mean, you can't see the property and stuff. It's the video, and our idea for it was pretty close up stuff. But we line up the 3 Jeeps, and so we used my Jeep. Chelsea Rose let us borrow hers, and then Carissa Lestock, Jenna's sister, let us borrow her Jeep. And we me, Jessie, and Ty all are in a Jeep, and that's where our focal point is. And then there's one fire scene around your fire pit in front of the garage there. So yeah, Caleb filmed all that. It's getting edited, and it should be finished actually. So
and Ty was like, "Can I pick my shot?" And I'm like, Ty,
yeah.
there is a shot.
Yeah, when Steve said that, I missed Ty's first thing, and then I got it back. I was like, "Yeah, Ty, do you remember?" I was like, it was like he'd be like, "I forgot the words," or he would start to get out of the Jeep too soon. We're like, "No, just."
It's that property. It has an effect on
breathe,
it.
breathe. He was just excited. The song was really dope,
Yeah.
and it's done pretty well already. I think it's over 100,000 on Spotify.
Awesome.
But the video should help launch it again. I love that song, and thank you, Caleb, for filming it. And you guys will be able to see that too. We'll actually just throw a link below this as well.
Yeah, and that's why we got the place, having some space out there that you don't have to ask anyone, hey, can we film here? Or something like a park or something like that, and we can be as loud as we want and rip and roar and all that good stuff.
There's no rules.
No rules. Love no rules. No rules. Used to no rules.
All right, so Better on a Beach.
It's out now.
That's one
Better
that
on the Beach is out now.
I wrote with you and PJ.
And PJ North.
PJ
Shout out to PJ. We got to write with him coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, PJ's the man. Another Ohio boy.
Absolutely, yeah. And
we're just trying to fight the Georgia cliques with this Ohio clique.
It's so funny. So we went to NSAI today for the right, and Cliff complimented the young lady that was working, the desk there, and she had a Vols hat on, and Cliff was like, "Oh, I like that hat." She goes, "Oh, you a fan?" He goes, "Well, no, I'm from Florida. I'm a Gators fan." She goes, "Oh gosh," and then she started to look at me like, "What are you?" And I was like, High State Buckeyes, and everyone in the whole little area was like, "Oh no!" I was like, okay, I know why you'd feel that way. It's a little lonely at the top.
I was gonna say everyone wants to tear down everyone at the top.
Yep, go Bucks.
Bucks.
You wanna what do you think? What else we got? What else?
We can
Talk about
do
shows and songs.
Yeah.
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 The rapid fire stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh, great. Scary. Look, Jenna, you even have like a headset and everything.
All right.
Shout out Jenna, our producer.
And shout out Chat GPT for some random questions.
There we go.
I came up with some, but also Chat GPT did.
Great.
It's funny because I put in like what are some funny, weird, or like off the wall questions to ask country artist Adam Calvert, and it was like, who? No, it just spit out like 10 right away, and they're like, yeah, we know him.
That's crazy.
This one earlier when we were talking, I just kind of give you an example of one. I gave you this one, but we can go with it anyways. So this is the rapid fire part of it, where it's just first thing comes to your head kind of thing. Fairly short answers. We're gonna keep trying to like manipulate this and work with it till we get a really cool structure. And yeah, we'll figure out something really cool to do with this down the road. But I like the idea already of putting people on the spot, especially after they had a couple drinks.
I know. I was like, this might make it easier. I don't know.
So here we go. Question one. This is one that I like kind of asked you earlier. You probably not even thought about it, but just to give you an example. Real answer this time. What's the weirdest thing you've ever signed for a fan?
Ooh, actually, it might be just the other day at the Reach and Teach show, like 2 days ago. I signed a fork. This young man came up to me with a plastic fork, and he was like, "This is all I have. This is all I have with me." You know what I mean? Like, can't say no to that. It'd either be that or I signed a shoe for a student. So,
all right, tell the shoe story real quick.
well, the shoe, during a show, I mean, he threw the shoe up to me and was like, "Sign it." I was like, "Yeah, I'll sign it." Sign the shoe, and then after the show, he sends me a Venmo request. Because he was like, I wanted you to sign the bottom of the shoe. And you signed the top of the shoe, and it's
you ruined my shoe.
And they were like Vans or some sort of, whatever. And I was like, bro.
He was scared from his parents, probably.
It was, but like, you threw the shoe on stage. And, but yeah, a shoe or a fork would be the answer to that question. Classic fork.
I thought for sure taint would be on there somewhere, but no.
Nope, not that one. Not yet.
No boobs, nothing.
Well, I mean, boobs wouldn't be the weirdest thing.
That's not weird, I guess, yeah. I've signed
depends on the boob, I guess, but...
What, was it a set of 3?
Yeah.
That'd be weird.
That'd be kind of cool.
That's fair. Well, I'm going to skip to this then, because with that question, there's a great transition into this one. Here it is. Do you believe in aliens?
Ooh, I do believe in aliens. In fact, CIA, I think, knows a lot about that, and they're releasing a lot of things. See, these guys, that's an easy question, because
that was that 3-boobed girl that you signed.
I'm always the one that's like, have you seen this newest declassified document? And everyone's like, no one cares.
I'm conspiracy theory. I'll go down that rabbit hole on YouTube forever. Yeah.
They're among us. They are among us.
All right. Now you know, guys. You didn't need to wait for the documents. Adam Calvert told you. Most embarrassing moment on stage. Go.
I'd probably say the Geneva Grape Jamboree Festival in Geneva, Ohio. They did the whole like intro me speech, and build the moment. The fanfare goes on, and I come running out, like so excited to meet the crowd, and I hit a patch of water, and my feet went out from under me, and I just slammed down on my back in front of probably 2,000 people out there.
That sucks for sure. I feel like we've been desensitized to that though. We've seen so many clips. I mean, there's probably a thing where it's like Luke Bryan's top 100 falls or something
for sure.
by now. We see it all the time.
That would be my most embarrassing. Like, I've never had like a wardrobe malfunction that I can think of, like where my pants fell down, or I'm trying
like
to
when
think,
you were in front of your
I've
crush
stepped
or
on
something.
My in-ears before or something. I think it has to be like one of the most embarrassing is like falling in front of a whole bunch of people.
Yeah. No matter what, that's not good. Yeah.
All right, if your life had a theme song every time you walked into a bar, what would it be?
Oh my golly. Maybe the Andy Griffith song? I don't know.
Like a Charlie Chaplin.
All right, Caleb, what would yours be, real quick?
Oh, gosh. I didn't even think about it. I thought this was Adam's.
Well,
you go first.
All right, mine be I Have a Tiger for sure.
Oh, that's definitely... That's cheating. That's a good one. Or maybe Back in Black.
That's a
That's
great
an
one
easy
too. Come on,
go-to,
any
yeah.
classic rock with those like huge stadium.
We'd be paying the
riffs.
royalties for it though, so we might have to pick something a little different.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
depends on like what I'm doing. You know.
You're going into a bar, bro.
His should
I
be
know
like
what
the-
you're doing every time
He's
you're going into
smiling,
a bar.
smiling.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe like "Forever" by Drake. That'd be a good one.
Nice.
Depends on what you're, you know, like if that's the
Yeah.
vibe you're going.
Yours needs to be that Uncle
Depends
Cracker
on-
song. You make me smile.
Yeah.
Like a-
That'd be a good
Yeah,
one.
there you go.
All right. Yeah, you got me thinking though. I don't know.
Well, that's never a good sign.
No, it's never. If you were stranded on a desert island and you can bring one bottle of whiskey, what is it?
We go first, a desert island. Is there an island, a desert island?
Yeah, it's like made of brownies.
Deserted.
Deserted island. Deserted island. What was the question? What would I bring with me?
There's cookies.
Oh, what
there's
whiskey I
brownies.
bring with me?
There's fudge sundaes.
Well, Maker's Mark, baby. Definitely bringing some
yeah.
Maker's Mark. I mean,
Do you
love
have
Old
a-
Macallan, but
Yeah. Do you have a favorite whiskey?
I mean, I love Jack. I like Jack. You know,
Yeah.
I like Maker's Mark. I'm not a big fan of Irish whiskeys. Paige's family, her brothers love like Jamie, like Jameson. Jameson is probably one of the hardest whiskeys for me to drink, but I will drink it. But like, of course, can't go wrong with some like 12-year Macallan. I mean, that kind of stuff. But yeah, Maker's Mark.
He
rocks.
just keeps saying that over and over because he wanted that to be the whiskey for today.
I tried because I wanted him to spend all his hard-earned money. 25-year Macallan's like $450.
All right. Well,
time.
Next podcast we have Adam on. We'll have one. Probably we might have Paige and Damon, his guitar player.
Oh
we'll
my.
mix it up and yeah, we'll get some McAllen for
We'll
him.
have to make Damon like a mocktail. Or maybe we should tell him we made him a mocktail. That's a cocktail. He'd be like, this tastes awfully like whiskey. Be like,
Just
I
say
know it's really
it's
incredible,
kombucha.
Frankie.
It's the new kombucha. Don't worry about it.
It's
Don't worry
really
about it,
healthy.
man.
It's vegan too. He'd be like, okay, fine.
It's natural tea. Don't worry about it. All right. Couple more here, maybe. Let's see what we got. Yeah, what's the most ridiculous rumor you've heard about yourself, whether it's online or through people or whatever? You know, we always have people that like, again, fake accounts, stuff like that we deal with. What's like one rumor that you've heard that you're like, just crazy?
I mean, the bus thing was one of them. Like, everyone got online and was like, the bus is a total loss, and it burnt to the ground, and with all of his gear in it, I'm like, guys, like, the gear's in a trailer, and the trailer was not attached to the bus, so, like, that's definitely not
that's
correct.
the most exciting thing that happened around there, though. So,
Yeah, they're all
for
like, yeah.
the entire year.
So I
probably.
completely
Yeah.
get that. But yeah, that was a good little rumor.
Couple more. If you had to swap careers with any artist for a year, any genre, who's it going to be?
Oh my golly.
I
It'd be definitely like a world touring artist, like, because that would be like a dream to be able to tour. So like maybe one of the like EDM artists like Avicii, which he's passed away, but someone
yeah.
like that, you know.
I wouldn't. If I switched with him, it would be a year, like 10 years ago, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, but can you imagine his career? I mean, like going to, Sweden and
Dude,
Switzerland, the States, Berlin.
We haven't done this before, but I'll do it again. I would do Ed Sheeran.
Oh,
Man.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then, like, his tour, like, it was just him and a looper.
Yeah, right?
And playing for a stadium, like, no stress. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry if the band knows his stuff. Like, just him and the audience. What a
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah,
Him
but
and
what,
50,000
but what
people.
pressure, too, though.
Yeah.
I think he's good at handling that pressure now.
I think, again, growing up playing acoustic solo so many times, you doing the same thing, there's a certain amount of control and comfortability you have when it's just you, knowing that you can recover from anything pretty much
for sure.
however you want to. You
And then
know?
there's, like, something to be said about knowing the guys are up there with you, but then sometimes you're just like, well, do you know this part? You know, makes you a little nervous.
All right, they're not like us. Who would you pick?
Oh,
Drake
I
again?
mean, before this year, I would have picked Billy Ray Cyrus, but
Oh, jeez.
I mean,
I believe that he takes a party with him wherever he goes. For
yeah,
sure.
yeah, not really, but he had a rough set at the.
Yeah, inauguration
Yeah,
thing.
that's what it was.
That was
If I had to switch with if I could be any artist, I'd want to be someone like you've never heard of, but like.
but it's making a lot like
Yeah.
Nick D.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
Nick
he's
D.
a great one. He's in
Yeah.
He lives in Virginia on a farm.
Like a
does?
normal
Yeah,
life.
and he
Really?
raises goats.
Doesn't play shows, just creates music and
Yeah, just lives in a little house.
makes
like,
bank.
yeah.
That's crazy cool.
What he's done to help other independent artists and stuff, that was
We've
pretty
listened to
dope
his
as well. Yeah,
podcast. That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
He's very John Bellion-ish as far as like promoting art and creation of art and not giving your art away to people. Yeah.
That's cool. Good
Pretty
picks.
dope. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. I'm going to give you a little time to think. But what's one thing no one would ever guess about you, even your biggest fans? I know that's a tough one.
Trying to think of like insecurities or something that like.
Yeah, vulnerable. Or
I mean,
something that you like, something that you're not constantly plastering on your socials as part of your brand, or that you still love to do.
looking over at Paige, she knows me better than I know myself. I mean, my whole life, like, because of the way I look and stuff, people have always thought I was, like, more of a city person. So, like, but then in my music, like, people know that I've, like, grown up on a farm and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
No, but
I still think, in general, because of the era we're living in, where right now, this era is the country, and it's almost like the urban cowboy thing in the 80s. It's like country is so cool right now. So they just assume that anyone who's doing it, who is cleaned up and clean cut, is not from it. They're just trying to take advantage of the genre.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's cool. Like knowing that you literally like grew up in
with farm animals, and chickens and cows.
Not even you couldn't even call where you grew up a town.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't even call it a village. Like you know, there's
nothing there.
You had 2 neighbors or something. Like
yeah, I'd say that, you know, like a lot of people know that I, you know, play country music and everything, but I have a huge love for farm animals and I love farming. My dream is to
just outdoors.
Yeah, be successful enough to where I could have my own, you know, we have animals in Ohio, but like I want to transform the place here in Tennessee to have goats and chickens and animals. And imagine being able to come off the road and like just having them greet you and be special.
Yeah.
Adam even gets up, slicks his hair and stuff, and he's like, I'm going to go see the horses, so I got to look good.
Gotta look good. Got to get the hair, get the pompadour up there.
I think that's cool and just very respectable of the animals.
Yep,
that
for
they
sure.
don't have to look at you. Like
I wouldn't want to do that to
when
them.
you're a mess, yeah.
I even put a little foundation on, make sure they recognize me.
All right, what we got? I think we're good, right?
I think so.
I guess so, but that doesn't. We can still finish the Maker's Mark, right?
Absolutely. Adam, dump it back in, please.
Yeah, we're safe. We're budgeting.
And then we're going to have Adam record a couple acoustic songs really quickly, and we'll have probably end page stuff for that, and probably links below in the description as well for a couple acoustic songs that he recorded right here. Do we know which ones yet?
Probably an original. Probably Better on a Beach.
Yeah, Better on a Beach.
Yeah, got to promote that new song.
We'll pick something else. All right, guys. Thank you for listening from Nashville, Tennessee. Thanks for sharing a glass, your time, and some stories with us.
And always remember, make sure you drink responsibly. I know we like to drink on this podcast, but take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes literally if it's tequila. And speak freely. And obviously or speak freely. You can't do both, obviously. And we'll catch you on the next round of Whiskey Talkin'.